Ever just stumble on something online and think, wait, hold on, what?
Happens to the best of us.
Like you're going along looking for a saint icon or something, and suddenly you're face to face with, well, with three breasts, basically.
Yes. This deep dive's focal point.
Exactly. It's like 5th or 6th century Brittany, not exactly a household name, the Saint Gwen.
Obscure, you could say.
Definitely. And more than a little strange at first glance, right? Three breasts. So how did we get here? You, our listeners, dove deep into this. Lucky for all of us, that's what we're doing too. Ancient iconography, how saints' images change over time, maybe even some theology that'll make us think a bit.
It's a fascinating journey for sure.
It really is. So let's just lay it out there. Why is there a saint shown with an extra breast in the first place?
It's certainly an image that makes you look twice, and your curiosity is understandable. To clarify, this triple-breasted depiction, it's mostly in Western art. And even then, it's not like every single image is like that.
But it's out there. We're not making this up, right?
Not at all. There are interpretations. For instance, the Celtic Orthodox Church. They have ties back to early Celtic Christianity, you see. Their take is that those three breasts, symbolism, it's about St. Gwen's nurturing nature.
Which she's always with triplets, isn't she? And they all become saints, if I'm remembering right.
You are. So the Celtic Orthodox folks, they're not so hung up on the literal. It's more about how much she cared, physically and spiritually, just overflowing, shown through this imagery.
Okay, that makes more sense when you put it that way. But and maybe it's just me. That image itself is still kind of tough to get past. It's jarring, you know?
I can understand that reaction. Don't forget how we picture holy figures. It's not static. Art trends, culture, it all plays in. Take the Renaissance, for example.
Big on realism, the human body, all that.
Exactly. Instead of those stylized, otherworldly icons from earlier times, suddenly things are lifelike, even sensual. Compare, say, a Byzantine Madonna and Child, all elongated figures, to what you get with Raphael or Da Vinci. Much more natural, celebrating the beauty of the body itself. Some scholars even think that shift might have influenced how St. Gwen's shown as time went on.
So, like, artistic license, maybe?
Yeah.
A bit of sensationalism creeping in over the centuries?
It's possible, particularly when you think about these stories. They were often passed down orally, maybe changing a bit with each retelling.
Like a game of telephone, almost.
Yeah.
Each time, it's a little different.
Perfect analogy. Oral traditions are so interesting that way. But even setting aside the art for a second, there's the theology piece, right? You'd mentioned how God just giving someone a third breast, it feels off somehow.
It does. I mean, usually I'm all for looking at the deeper meaning, not getting stuck on the literal. But this one, why? What would be the point?
Exactly. Doesn't quite fit with how we understand God usually, does it? And this is where it gets really interesting to compare St. Gwen to other saints with unusual, shall we say, portrayals. You brought up St. Christopher.
Oh, dog's head, right?
Yes. And St. Liban, often shown as a mermaid, definitely not your average saints either.
Not by a long shot.
But there's a difference. If you look at the stories, the traditional ones anyway, they were cured of those things, not giving them by God. Like St. Christopher, the idea is he was healed of some affliction. And St. Liban, the legend goes, she chose to become fully human so she could be baptized.
So it's more about them overcoming something or changing to be closer to God's will.
Exactly. It's about aligning themselves. And that, theologically speaking, changes everything.
Because then it's not God saying, you now have an extra body part, which seems random, I guess.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important, I think, to really think about these stories, not just dismiss them, but ask the why. Look deeper. Is it legend? Is it maybe historical? What's going on here?
Okay, so we've got maybe exaggeration, misinterpretations, art styles changing over time. Where does that leave us with St. Gwen? What are we supposed to take away, especially if someone's just trying to make sense of it all?
You know, I think the main thing is saints, they were examples of faith, but they were human. Their stories, they're going to be complex, like anything passed down through generations. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. If a depiction bothers you, if a legend doesn't sit right, dig into it. Find different interpretations, see what the historical context was and what speaks to you.
So it's almost like rather than shying away from the weird parts of these stories, we should be leaning in, following our curiosity.
I love that. Embrace the mystery. And who knows, you might just find a whole new layer of meaning, a new way to connect to these people from the past, or even a personal connection to a saint you never knew existed before.
So running into St. Gwen, even with the unusual imagery, it can actually enrich our experience.
Absolutely. It's a great reminder that faith, like history, isn't just about memorizing facts. It's an ongoing conversation across centuries even.
Like, those are the good bits, the ones that make you think.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe you find something totally new in those old stories, a new connection to a saint you'd never even heard of before.
I like that, finding those connections in unexpected places.
That's what it's all about.
So our deep dive into, well, St. Gwen and her
Hmm.
unique imagery,
Quite unique.
it got us thinking, and that's the point, right?
Yeah.
If something makes you pause, dig a little deeper, ask some questions, maybe that's a good thing.
It's all part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Faith history. It's not about having all the answers, it's about the search.
Well said. So, to everyone listening, if this got you curious about St. Gwen, don't let us be the end of it. Go see those depictions, the different ways she's shown, what makes sense to you and why. Maybe even let us know what you find.
After all, these stories, they're meant to be shared.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as always, and until next time, keep exploring.